What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to it.
The essence of the experiment, our narration should begin with describing the essence of our research. I confess that during the experiment we had to change its concept somewhat. Initially, the task was quite simple: to drink some alcoholic beverages and at certain intervals blow into the breathalyzer, checking in what period of time this or that drink will leave the body completely, i.e., the tester will show 0 in the exhalation. Of course, testing beer, wine, liquor, tincture, gin and tonic, port, vodka, cognac, whiskey, bourbon and moonshine in different doses is very difficult and very long. It would have taken me more than a month, because after each drink you have to be completely sober. You can't mix them and you can't take the next test when you feel hungover after the previous one. So I wanted to make it easier. Take 0.5 beer, a glass of wine and half a liter of vodka, all the most popular and available. But while the point is, New Year's Eve and Tozabozy, the vodka ran out for nothing. I didn't want to drink the bottle again. Maybe I couldn't even drink it. It didn't fit. So at the last moment I replaced the vodka with whiskey. But that was half the trouble. Worse, the solid-state breathalyzer from an ordinary supermarket turned out to be very strange in its behavior and readings. So I came up with the idea to evaluate not only the output time. Strangely enough, it turns out that you can rely on the work of the tester as a whole, but also the breathalyzer itself. Well, let's take another look at this beautiful world with sober eyes and go to carry the liver on the altar of truth. What is a ppm and how many can there be? I almost forgot. First we need to understand what and how we will have to measure with a breathalyzer. As you all know very well, to earn a license revocation and a fine of 30,000 rubles, you have to show the presence of alcohol. Twice, in the exhaled air and in the blood, or simply refuse to take the test. Of course, there is no one at home to give blood, and any breathalyzer that you have to breathe into measures the amount of alcohol in the air. We are used to measuring it in ppm, thousandths of the concentration of ethanol. In our case, this is the bottom line on the breathalyzer, where the values are specified in BAC, blood alcohol concentration, where 1 per thousand BAC is 1 gram of ethanol per liter of air. Promil is not an absolute value, so we officially use more specific units of measurement: grams of alcohol per liter of exhaled air, GOL, milligrams per liter, milligram OL, micrograms per liter, GOL, or micrograms per 100 milliliters, G100 ml. In our case, the top line is just grams per liter. But we are more accustomed to hearing the word ppm, so we will use it. As you know, in the Russian Federation the permitted dose is 0.160 milligrams per liter. Of course, this does not mean that you can drink something while driving. 0.16 ppm allows you not to lose your license due to the error of the device, taking some medications or individual characteristics of the body. One last note: the withdrawal time depends on the weight of the alcoholic. So for the record, I weigh 104 pounds. Yeah, that's a lot. But it should sober you up faster. Ha 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 ha. Let's go. Let's go for a promotion. Let's start with beer. Probably not the most popular drink in Russia for New Year, Christmas, and other holidays, but still. I take the simplest light beer, not a connoisseur, sorry, and drink a can. Unfortunately, I only noticed after this process that it is 0.45 liters, not 0.5. Well, then the data will be for this volume. Running to the store to catch up with 50 grams of beer is too ridiculous. The strength is 4.5%. You can't breathe into the breathalyzer immediately after taking it. You can burn the sensor. Therefore, after the last sip we measure at least 5 minutes, better 10 or 15, but I couldn't wait to blow and exhale. The device shows only 0.03. So, theoretically, you can drive. After 30 minutes the breathalyzer showed 0.01, and after 40 minutes, 0.00. It's a pity that I don't have a normal certified breathalyzer at hand, something I don't really believe such readings. But there is a doctor I know who can comment on it somehow. According to him, a light lager in that volume can indeed be completely out in 40 minutes, although a more realistic time frame is an hour to 2. But 0.03 immediately after consumption cannot be. According to the specialist, a more reliable value is about 0.20. And the rights, of course, with such readings will be taken away, but it is not quite so, because there are still some necessary procedures. Retaking and blood sampling. And by this time after one bottle of beer you can already sober up. So the conclusion is the same. Our breathalyzer shows something wrong. It's a shame. After all it costs 800 rubles. But you can't trust the figures of semiconductor breathalyzers. They are inaccurate. Another thing, electrochemical breathalyzers, but the cost of a device of this type and acceptable quality starts somewhere from 10,000 rubles. That's a bit expensive. But there is good news. The figures on our device are very conditional, but it is able to show the main thing, the presence of ethanol in the exhaled air. It is clear that it would be interesting to know the concentration, but what can you do? The main thing is to check how quickly you can get rid of the cigarette in the exhaust. Yeah, the initial concentration with beer was underestimated. What happens if you take something stronger? We take white semi-dry wine. The strength on the label is approximately 11.5 to 13.5%. That'll work for us. We measure out 0.25 and take it in. After 5 minutes of waiting, it reads 0.19 per thousand. That's a lot. We can't drive. It's strange that this wine didn't hit my head at all. But after half an hour the situation changes dramatically. First of all, the tester readings drop to 0.01. So I'm practically sober. However, only now I'm a little stirked. Vinishko was playing in my head and 40 minutes after its consumption, but the breathalyzer persistently showed 0.01. But when after an hour it sharply let go, the readings rose to 0.02. They were the same an hour and a half after drinking. In 2 hours the tester again showed 0.01, and in 3 hours it showed 0.00. Again, the time to zero is very plausible, but 0.01 20 minutes after 0.19 looks like a lie. And 0.01 in the subjective state of "oh, I'm so drunk" seems like a delusion. Anyway, the intoxication was very noticeable, and I wouldn't have gotten behind the wheel anyway. And the breathalyzer said I could. He shouldn't have. Let's try blowing into it after a bottle of whiskey. Yes, it's time for the heavy artillery. The time I've been doing this whole experiment for. I'll be honest with you, I wanted to limit myself to the same glass, 250 milliliters. But then something went wrong. I was inclined to alcoholism by this mean breathalyzer, which after 0.25 and after 0.3 showed 0.19 ppm. Well, it can't be so. Fighting the urge to pick up a guitar or go to Instagram, I still promptly finished that 0.5 liter bottle. Not because of alcoholism, but purely for scientific reasons. I did not take an appetizer. I wanted maximum figures. But the breathalyzer persistently showed 0.19. I wonder what would happen if I added more. For the sake of interest, and not just because of domestic drunkenness, I added 50 grams of white water. Relax, the trick is done by a professional. Do not repeat it at home. But what do you think? 0.19. No way. I went to look for the manual. Turns out my semiconductor provocateur doesn't show more than 0.19. That's its measurement limit. Oh my gosh. I've suffered for nothing, it turns out. But what can I do? If you sacrifice yourself to work, sacrifice yourself completely. Now the main thing is to stay awake and blow into the device according to the schedule. Half an hour later, the tester was still reading the same 0.19. That's good. 40 minutes later, it suddenly read 0.14. Now that, my alcoholic friends, is a lie. All of you, I mean drinkers, know that strong alcohol has a peculiarity to catch up and finish you later than the last drink. By this time I already had Robert Plant on TV. I was burning with the desire to take the guitar away from Jimmy Page, and the breathalyzer showed rapid sobering up. God, what a monstrous lie. After an hour the device showed only 0.04, after an hour and a half, again 0.04, remember, conditionally sober, when SOA is not established, it is 0.13. After 2 and 3 hours, and at all 0.01. And this at a time when I was going to buy plane tickets in the middle of the night and quietly go on vacation? No way. And then it got even funnier. After 14 hours the breathalyzer showed the same 0.01 ppm. Mom, why did you give birth to me so weak? my love, squeeze me a lemon in a glass of cold water. After 20 hours, also 0.01, but by that time it was almost good. However, according to my feelings, I still can't drive. I'm still noticeably dumb, so the Boden though turned into a slight hangover, but it is still there. It should be noted that the breathalyzer also recorded the ethanol content. It took the figures from the ceiling according to its long-standing tradition, but it still showed that the alcohol was not out yet. The device showed zeros only after 25 hours. Oddly enough, this is also true. It was only after this period of time that I felt completely healthy. Beer, 0.45 liter 0, 030, 010, 00 wine, 0.25 liter 0, 19 0, 010, 010, 020, 020, 010, 00 whiskey 0, 5 liter 0, 19 0, 19 0, 14 0, 04. 0, 040, 010, 010, 010, 010, 00, not a gram in the mouth I wanted. Of course, more objective figures. But, as the experiment showed, a cheap breathalyzer is not able to show the truth. So you shouldn't trust it. The only thing it can help is to understand whether there is alcohol in the exhaled air in principle. And if there is, you can't drive. And you cannot trust its readings of 0.01 ppm, with which, purely theoretically, you can drive. In fact, when blowing breathalyzer inspected DPS may turn out that you have there is not 0.01 and 0.20 ppm. And this is a deprivation and a fine. The best way out is, of course, not to drink at all. Or at least not to drive after drinking. Neither drunk nor hungover. Whatever they say, but this thing is dangerous, and an alky behind the wheel is a potential killer. And sometimes a very real one. And you don't want to forgive such crimes. In conclusion, our experiment with the affordable breathalyzer has provided valuable insights into its effectiveness and accuracy in measuring alcohol withdrawal rates. While it may not match the precision of more expensive models, it offers a practical solution for those looking to monitor their alcohol consumption without breaking the bank. As we've seen, understanding how our bodies process alcohol can empower us to make informed decisions about our health. Whether you're using this device for personal awareness or as part of a larger journey towards sobriety, remember that knowledge is key. Thank you for joining us on this exploration, and stay tuned for more informative content.